Maria, for instance, I could never figure. But then who could? There she was, the world's #1 symbol of desirability, on display all over the world's #1 showroom, with the world's #1 customers wanting to buy.
She was the woman every man wanted and every woman admired, a Hollywood goddess who captivated the world. Stunning, magnetic, fiercely independent. And yet, none of her marriages lasted. 3 husbands, 3 divorces, not a single fairy tale ending. How could Ava Gardner, the ultimate symbol of love and lust, end up alone?
Rita Hayworth and Ava Gardner, they would take the prize of everybody.
I can't
face, body, acting, walking, everything.
We remember the face, the voice, the beauty, but what really happened behind the scenes of her high-profile marriages? Who were the men she loved, and why didn't it last? In this video, we'll explore the real stories behind Ava Gardner's 3 marriages, from the teenage romance with Mickey Rooney to the icy intellectual battles with Artie Shaw, to her legendary, explosive relationship with Frank Sinatra. This is not just a story of who she married, but what those marriages revealed about her. And if you are into classic Hollywood icons, amazing stories, and newly discovered insights, then hit that subscribe button. We are on our way to 10,000 subscribers, and your support will mean a lot to our channel. Ava Gardner came to Hollywood with nothing but a photograph and a face that stopped men in their tracks. In 1941, at just 18 years old, she was signed by MGM without having spoken a single word on screen. Her southern drawl was thick, and her acting experience was non-existent, but the camera loved her. That was all the studio needed. She was enrolled in diction lessons and assigned tiny roles, mostly in what were then called B pictures. Her earliest screen appearances were Blink and You'll Miss Them, a secretary in Fancy Answers, 1942, a walk-on part in This Time for Keeps, 1942, and a co-ed in Sunday Punch, 1942. These were background roles. She was seen, not heard. That same year, she met Mickey Rooney. Rooney, already a star thanks to the Andy Hardy films, was fast-talking, confident, and beloved. Ava was 19, quiet, and still being shaped by the studio system. They married in January 1942. It didn't last. While Ava was working on minor roles in films like Joe Smith, American and Ghosts on the Loose, Mickey was gambling, womanizing, and living like a star. She later said, "I was a kid, and he was a boy who thought he was a man." She filed for divorce in 1943, citing mental cruelty. In public, she moved on quietly, but privately, something had changed. She started seeing Howard Hughes, a man as powerful as he was obsessed. Their relationship was complicated, and Ava would later describe it as controlling and uncomfortable, though they were physically involved. Professionally, Ava's star was rising. In 1946, she landed her first leading role in Whistle Stop. But it was The Killers, released later that year, that transformed her career. As femme fatale Kitty Collins, she was magnetic, more than just beautiful. She was dangerous, intelligent, unforgettable. She had survived her first heartbreak and was beginning to realize her power. But her next marriage would shake her confidence in a very different way. In 1945, at the height of her rising stardom, Ava Gardner met Artie Shaw. He was already a legend, a jazz genius, and a famously difficult man. He had been married to Lana Turner, and his reputation as both brilliant and cruel followed him. To Ava, he was fascinating, sharp, intellectual, worldly. She wanted to prove herself to him, to be worthy of him. They married in October 1945. The marriage was short and quietly devastating. Artie criticized her relentlessly. He mocked her lack of education, handed her books, and quizzed her on them. What began as admiration quickly turned into belittlement. Ava later said Shaw made her feel small, stupid. The self-doubt crept in, even as her career was gathering momentum. She starred in Singapore, 1947, holding her own opposite Fred MacMurray, and in The Hucksters, 1947, with Clark Gable. These were big steps, and she was proving she could do more than just look good on screen. Yet at home she felt diminished. During this time she grew emotionally close to Ernest Hemingway, whose work she would later bring to life on screen. While never confirmed as a physical affair, their bond was deep. Hemingway admired her. He saw something in her that Shaw could not. The marriage ended in 1946. 1 year, one slow erosion of her self-worth. But she emerged sharper, more deliberate, no longer willing to be condescended to, and no longer willing to doubt her value. What came next was the greatest and most destructive love of her life. Frank Sinatra met Ava Gardner in 1948. He was married, she was newly famous, and the chemistry was instant. Their affair was open, electric, and scandalous. In 1951, just days after Sinatra's divorce from Nancy Barbado was finalized, he and Ava married. It was the beginning of a passionate, chaotic union that would leave a permanent mark on them both. Their marriage was tempestuous, driven by desire, ego, and insecurity. They drank heavily, argued loudly, and made up in the most dramatic fashion. Ava became pregnant twice during their marriage, but both ended in miscarriage, the second while she was filming Mogambo in Africa. Whether due to stress, timing, or the pressures of the studio system, motherhood eluded her.
When there were screams and shouts and things throwing at each other, bang, crash, out came Ava. I'm not going to go with that son of a bitch. So Frank took off in a rush and went down, and we afterwards, and the whole time she was saying, he's impossible, that stupid, conceited son of a bitch. He's not that great a singer anyway. And we arrive at the Ambassador, and we're shown to our thing, and on comes Frank, and he starts to sing. And he starts to sing right to her. And she's, oh, look at him. Oh, God, isn't he what? Floods of tears, and he's singing to her. I thought that's what you hated him. No, he's wonderful. Look at him, crazy. They adored each other and fought the whole time.
Still, Ava transformed Frank's life. When his career was at its lowest, she used her influence to help him land the role of Angelo Maggio in From Here to Eternity. He won the Oscar, and his career was reborn. But while she saved him professionally, neither could save their marriage. By 1953, they were separated. The divorce was finalized in 1957. Even apart, their connection remained intense. Frank never let go. When Ava suffered a stroke in 1986, he paid for her medical care, more than $250,000 a year, and arranged for her to be flown to top specialists. He called regularly, even when she couldn't speak, and kept her photo taped to his dressing room mirror. Ava once said, "He was the love of my life, but I wasn't the love of his." Yet by all accounts, he never truly let her go. After Sinatra, Ava never remarried, but she had other lovers, most notably Spanish bullfighter Luis Miguel Dominguín. Their romance was fiery and deeply emotional, mirroring the stormy love she shared with Sinatra. Spain became Ava's refuge in the 1950s. She embraced its rhythms, its chaos, and its passions. There she drank, danced, and lived on her own terms. But even Spain wasn't free from Frank's shadow. When he discovered her affair with another bullfighter, Mario Cabré, he was furious. His jealousy knew no bounds. In one infamous moment, Sinatra stormed into a restaurant where Ava was dining with Lana Turner and yelled, "Lesbians! You're all goddamn lesbians!" A public outburst that left everyone stunned. There was also the time they were caught drunkenly shooting out streetlights in the Spanish countryside, a scandal quickly buried by studio fixers. Spain was Ava's playground, her sanctuary, and sometimes her battleground. When she moved to Spain, she found a kind of freedom the studios never allowed her. She lived on her terms, drinking, laughing, loving without headlines. She made films in Europe, including The Night of the Iguana of 1964 and The Life and Times of Judge Roy Bean in 1972. Her screen presence remained luminous, even as age brought new lines to her face. In her later years, Ava settled in London. She suffered a stroke in 1986 that left her partially paralyzed. She hated the dependency it brought, but even then, she kept her dignity. When she died in 1990, she was 67 years old. The cause was pneumonia, a complication from her stroke. She died alone in her London apartment, with only her longtime housekeeper and a few close friends by her side. Her 3 husbands moved on. Mickey Rooney married several more times, 8 marriages in total. He continued acting into old age and remained a recognizable figure, but he never regained the kind of stardom he'd known as a young man. He died in 2014 at the age of 93 of natural causes, surrounded by family, but after years of financial and legal turmoil. Artie Shaw, ever the intellectual recluse, retired from music altogether. He wrote, lectured, and remained a sharp critic of fame and celebrity. He died in 2004 at the age of 94, alone and largely isolated, having never truly settled with anyone. Frank Sinatra married once more, to Barbara Marx, but it was a quiet companionship rather than a grand romance. He died in 1998 at the age of 82 from a heart attack, with his wife at his side. Even so, he kept Ava's photograph near him until the end. Ava, on the other hand, never remarried. She didn't need to. She lived fully, fiercely, without apology. She made mistakes, loved recklessly, trusted poorly, but she never surrendered herself. Her films endure because she was never just playing roles. She was revealing pieces of herself, even when it hurt. She once said, "I made movies for money. I married for love, but the love never lasted, and the money ran out." And yet, somehow, Ava Gardner left behind something more valuable than either. She left behind the story of a woman who refused to be owned. If Ava's story resonated with you, if you see strength in her choices and courage in her contradictions, leave a comment. What's your favorite Ava Gardner film? What surprised you most about her life? And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. We're on our way to 1,000 subscribers, and your support helps us keep telling stories with honesty, depth, and heart. Thank you for watching.